little sheep get lost? You know, I thought maybe this little sheep was different. I thought, well, how could a little sheep be different? How could a little sheep be different? I thought, maybe in its appetite. Did you know your appetites are in your souls? You know, you can find something you don't like to eat, and it doesn't matter how much you try to convince yourself that, you know, my sister likes it, my mother likes it, my girlfriend likes it. You know, you're not going to like it. Have you ever been at a smorgasbord with other people? You see what they pick up?
Yeah.
Yeah, your appetites are in your souls. I can imagine that little sheep being born with an appetite for purple grass. While all the other little sheep were out there eating green grass, this little sheep just had an appetite for purple grass. Thought about that. And it wasn't long before I started thinking about that little sheep's mother. Because, you know, there was a time when the little sheep turned out to be different.
Yes.
The social scientists looked at the mother. The mother was too close. In fact, I think there was a book written way back in the 1940s called Smother Love, which was supposed to mess people up really bad. And so I can just imagine this little sheep's mother looking at this little sheep and thinking, little sheep, don't be different. Please don't be different. Because, you know, now social scientists know that little sheep are born with personalities just when they're born. You know, they aren't blank slates. You know, mothers and fathers influence little sheep, but little sheep influence the mothers and the fathers too. And what happens is there's a relationship that grows out of each of them. They influence each other. And I imagine that little mother looking at that little sheep and thinking, oh dear, don't be different, little sheep. Please, 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 don't be different. Imagine that little sheep just kind of feeling that from its mother and thinking, well, how do you not be different? How do you not be different? It's just like trying to develop a taste for something that you don't like. How do you not be different if you're different? But you know something? I know you know this. I know your soul knows this. The way God created us, we cannot lie. We cannot truly be false. You might say, okay, Freda, I can lie. I'm a good liar. You can't lie without doing violence to your body. You cannot be false without doing violence to your body. That's the secret of the lie detector test. That's the secret of a voice stress test. In fact, Sigmund Freud, the parent of psychology, said, you know, you could train your face to lie, you could train your voice to lie. We know that's not true anymore, but Freud was not up to the minute, you know, because he was back there. But Freud was right on here. He says, you could train your voice, you could train your face, but you know, the truth's going to come out. You're going to tap it out with your fingers. You're going to shuffle it out with your feet. You may even just say it. A Freudian slip is not something you wear, you know. How do you not be different? Well, looking at the little sheep around him, trying to figure them out, trying to not be different. How can you not be different? It wasn't long till all the other little sheep were looking at that little sheep and saying, watch out for that one. You know, there's something peculiar about that one. Have you seen the way it holds its little shank? Oh, Mama was so worried. She took the little sheep to a sheep shrink. She said, Doctor, I'm so worried about my little sheep. The doctor says, oh, what's wrong with your little sheep? Looks like a perfectly good little sheep to me. Doctor, it's got an appetite for purple grass. The doctor said, don't worry about it. It's just a stage it's going through. It'll outgrow it. It'll learn to like what's really good for it. And that little sheep thinking, you know, what you think is really good for me, you know, don't bet on it. Imagine sheep getting a little bit older, wiser friend. The older, wiser friend came up to the little sheep and said, little sheep, don't eat purple grass. And the little sheep said, well, why not? I have an appetite for it. It's around if you know where to look. I'm not hurting anybody. And the older, wiser friend said, well, if you were older and wiser like I am, you would be concerned about ethics. And if you were concerned about ethics, you would have studied Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. See, I told you, pretty bright sheep. And if you'd studied Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative, it's categorical, which means it's always true, across the board, a categorical imperative. You must do this. His categorical imperative has two parts. The first, you should always treat others as an end to themselves. Never, ever, ever use someone as a means to an end. And the second is like the first. If you would be ethical, you would act in such a way that everyone would be able to act in the same way, and it would be good for everyone. Little sheep, do you realize if all of us went out and tried to eat purple grass, there's not enough to go around? We'd all starve to death. You could be the end of the sheep race. Little sheep said, well, you know, I can't argue with Immanuel Kant, but I can sure argue with you. It seems to me that if everyone ate just what was natural to them, there'd be plenty enough of everything to go around, and we'd live in a happier world too. Amen. And that little sheep just went out and was doing pretty good, considering. Doing pretty good until one day ran into the flock moralist. The flock moralist says, little sheep, you should not eat purple grass. The flock and the little sheep said, well, why not? I have an appetite. I was born with an appetite for it. It's around if you know where to look for it. I'm not hurting anybody. And the flock moralist is little sheep. You shouldn't eat purple grass because the good shepherd doesn't want you to do that. And little sheep said, are you sure? Are you sure the good shepherd doesn't want me to eat purple grass? And the flock moralist said, of course I'm sure. Who do you think I am? I stand behind the pulpit every Sunday morning. I'm on radio. I'm on TV. Of course I know that you shouldn't eat purple grass. The good shepherd doesn't want you to. Little sheep said, well, okay. If you're sure, I won't eat purple grass anymore. I won't even think about eating purple grass. I won't even think about thinking about eating purple grass. Have you ever tried not to think about what you're not going to think about? It wasn't long that little sheep could not think of anything except not thinking about what it wasn't going to think about. Couldn't think about anything else, totally obsessed. And hungry. You know how mean you are when you're hungry? Going around obsessed about not thinking about what it wasn't going to think about, hungry, surrounded by green grass eaters, blatantly eating green grass all over the place. But I'm not going to even think about that. Until one day, accidentally, didn't mean to, a little bit of purple grass. Oh, I'm not going to do that again. Then a little bit more. Then a little bit more. And then one day that little sheep said, who cares? Who cares what the good shepherd thinks? You know, there probably isn't any such thing as a good shepherd. Whoever saw the good shepherd, whoever touched the good shepherd, whoever even smelled the good shepherd. Probably just something that flock made up. And who needs that flock?